Hello. This is a question I get asked a lot. What is the best kind of yoga for menopause? And it isn't an easy question to answer because there are so many different ways that women can experience menopause, and there are so many different styles of yoga, so many different styles of teacher nowadays. It would be really hard to pin that down to a few specific things, but I'm going to try. And I'm just going to share with you what I feel is important as a yoga teacher, as a person that is still a yoga student as well, and as a person who's been in perimenopause for the last 5 years. I have certainly noticed my preferences change over the last even 2 years, 1 year maybe. So these are the things that I personally feel are important when you get to this midlife stage and you want to start a yoga practice or carry on with your yoga practice. The first thing that we need to bear in mind is that in this midlife stage, over-exercising is bad. I have been guilty of that, and last year I realized that the kind of exercise that I used to love doing, I've always been very active, but the kind of exercise that I had been doing, even though I could still do it, was not serving me very well anymore. It was leaving me depleted at a time in my life where I just don't have that kind of energy to spare. So I went and spoke to an expert, to a great personal trainer, and he advised me that you need to change what you're doing now. You need to do things a little bit differently. And that's what I started to do. And then that's when I started to exercise in a way where at the end of the class, I actually felt energized and better than I did before I started. And this was a complete revelation to me, because before that, only yoga left me feeling like that. I always thought that all the other kinds of exercise, you were supposed to come out feeling shattered and sweaty and red and blotchy and all those things. But and you can do that outside menopause. But if you're there and you've tried it, or you're doing it now, I'm sure you've noticed that you just can't do it in this stage of life. So that's the first thing that I wanted to say about what's the right kind of yoga. The right kind of yoga is the kind of yoga that does not leave you feeling depleted and like you've been dragged through a hedge backwards at the end. In my classes, I just really want my clients to feel better at the end than they did at the beginning. The other thing that I think is really important, that whatever kind of yoga you're doing, it shouldn't be overtaxing your nervous system. This isn't the time to start to decide that you want to master a handstand or a headstand or something that involves trying to get your foot behind your ear. I mean, if you can do that, fantastic. But there is no need for the crazy stuff in this phase of life. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, I'm not saying that you couldn't, I'm just saying, is that what you really need right now? Is that what your nervous system needs right now? What our nervous system needs in this phase of life is calm, is relaxation. We already have these huge hormone imbalances that mean we have cortisol and adrenaline and estrogen and progesterone going up and down, and it's just crazy in there. So my top tip, I think, would be is just pay attention to your nervous system. Is it stressing you out? Is it overtaxing you, or does it feel really nice? One of my favorite things now is to practice, and I think probably a lot of yoga teachers of my age would agree with this, that you or even yoga practitioners of my age who've been practicing for a long time would agree that you reach a point where you just want to linger in the lovely, in the delicious, simple stretches. You just want to stay there and linger and feel the deliciousness of that. You don't really care whether you can get your foot behind your head anymore. So I would say those are my two top tips. Something that isn't making you feel depleted at the end, and something which is paying attention first and foremost to your nervous system. There are breathing techniques. We have a branch of yoga called pranayama, which is all about the breathing. There are breathing techniques which can cool you. So obviously that's great for hot sweats and hot flushes or waking up in the night with night sweats. So if you can find a teacher that teaches pranayama, then you can learn those kind of breathing techniques. We are practicing one right now in my yoga group, which is called Shitkali, or I hope my pronunciation's okay there. If my teachers are watching, and I do apologize. Or in English, crow breathing. And it's a special breathing technique that actually does help to cool the body down. It also helps with things like acid reflux, which can also be a problem in menopause. So those are my tips. Like I said at the beginning, I wouldn't say you try this system or try that system, but I would be more inclined to go for the kind of styles which are slow, with longer holds, with longer rests in the middle. So you've got the yin and the yang, you've got the effort, but then you've also got the relaxation. So I hope that's helpful. And if you have any questions about yoga for menopause, please feel free to message me.